So, I guess we could talk about what you did in that one talk, Gary, very quickly. Like, just discuss like the different flavors of mangoes that you have. Indian, Indo-Chinese, classic Floridas, pedigree, complex.
It's really hard to describe a flavor. The two big categories, the Chinese, Indo-Chinese, Southeast Asian, and the Indian. That's the two broad categories. And then in the Southeast Asian, most of those don't have much color except the yellow. In my opinion, there's some very different flavors among those. The Nam Dok Mai and Siatong, it's a lot like Nam Dok Mai. They're very similar. But you can definitely, in fact, if you peel one of these and slice it up, or even if you aren't really sure, it wouldn't be hard to mix, to confuse these two, unless you really know a lot about the two varieties. And both of these are going to have that distinct Southeast Asian type flavor. And then there's one like Oak Rong, which is has another slightly different flavor. Again, Southeast Asian. And you can tell a little bit of difference in it. And then, of course, all the ones that I know of that I like to eat green are Southeast Asian. Moon Kunsi is one, Kia Savoy, Crom Camilla. Those are three that I can think of off the top of my head, and I really like them as a mango to eat green. In fact, in Costa Rica, a lot of people there, they have a lot of problems with fruit flies, and they eat a lot of their mangoes green. And that's one that I've grown down there that people really like a lot. Now, the Indian ones, there's just a huge palette, I guess you could say, of aromas and flavors of those. And, the ones that everybody's been the most familiar with would be Hayden and Zill, Kent, Kit, Tommy Atkins, even Edward, which is a hybrid, but it's still mostly of the early Florida types. You pick any one of those and you smell the sap of it, it doesn't really drive you crazy as far as the flavor you're going to like. But the fruit are good, really good. The first of the other, I would say, exotic, aromatic Indian varieties that I ever noticed were these ones from Jamaica. Julie, Bombay, and East Indian. And I really like the flavor of all of those. And there are a lot of other Indian type mangoes that would be in that same category. Kesar is one. And then there's some that are just hard to categorize exactly, like, for instance, Alphonso. It's a real complex flavor. It might be a mix of, say, the Bombay and Kerry or Julie. It's a second generation away from a Julie and has a lot of that same flavor. And but then there are a couple of other varieties of these more complex flavors. The one we call Super Alphonso is one of those that I think is the most typical Indian type flavors. In fact, the first time I tasted it, the word that came out of my mouth was India, because it came to my head, and I think I said it out loud. I thought, this is really the epitome of a really good Indian type mango. And I had someone, I think from India, who was here a while back, said that we should call it Super Alphonso because it's got some color. But then there's the ones that have another distinctive flavor of, say, the pedigree. I've talked about that a lot. One we call the Gary mango and the sugarloaf are the most typical of what that flavor is like. There's one that was selected in North India called Dasari or Dasara that has a lemony type flavor. Another one that someone brought some graft food for me a number of years ago that we call lemon meringue. That is a very lemony flavored mango. These flavors seem to, I guess, came out of North India and Myanmar.
I thought it was Pupai Collide.
Well, that's what I call.
Oh.
Yeah, it is Pupai Collide, but I don't know many people are going to want to buy a mango that's named Pupai, So
Okay.
we called it,
3 of those.
yeah. And we've got some seedlings of those, orange sherbet and lemon zest, that are both descendants of that one, and they're both excellent mangoes. So I think that pretty much covers all the different.
Wasn't there like a vanilla flavor, like how you categorize Karen Michelle and Ugly Betty? Or is that the...
That's still the old Florida type mangoes. Now, Karen Michelle is a lot like an Edward. Very similar to an Edward, except bigger. And the tree's more vigorous, which is bigger. Edward was vigorous enough. I think we're going to be able to control its growth a little bit with some other rootstocks. And the one we call Ugly Betty. Now, there's a name we call my sister Marlis gave it that name because it's actually got a nice color, but the shape is not real nice. It's kind of misshapen, always, never real consistently shaped. But the flavor is, if you like Hayden, Glenn, Edward, I won't even talk about Tommy Atkins. There's got to be better ones than that. But any of the old Florida varieties that are progeny of the Hayden mango, that one we call Ugly Betty has a lot of that, but it's maybe just a little more concentrated, just a little more outstanding. But it's not. That's of the flavor type that it is. It's a really good mango. A lot of people really like it. So that was.
You asked me right at the very beginning why Sultan. Well, I guess it was another take. Why I select all these varieties. The flavor was the most important, but some of them we're finding out are more productive than others. Obviously, I've been real happy this year to see that the Super Alphonso and the
Fruit Punch were two that held a pretty good crop, where most everything else dropped off. Now this was back further west, where it's a little bit cooler and wetter than here where we're looking at the trees now. But those two look like they're going to set a pretty good crop. Unless, of course, the cold weather just knocks out all the fruit and that needs to flower again, which they might. I don't know. It's really, I don't like to try to predict too much. We don't know what else going to happen.
Fruit punch and fruit cocktail are part of the complex flavors, right?
Yeah, I would say that. They're definitely Indian types. Fruit punch, fruit cocktail. Oh, fruit cocktail. Yeah, that's a really good one. Really good. That one is exceptionally, it's a little compact, quite compact, and has a really good Indian flavor, and it also seems to be pretty clean. Very few fungus problems on the fruit that I've seen. Well, creme brulee, that's how I got its name. It's really just a really good flavor mango. Again, it's an Indian type. Venus is Southeast Asian. It's one of the latest of the Southeast Asian type. It's quite large, round, very good quality. The texture down to the seed is good. Some mangoes get a little soft at the bottom around the seed. It's very good that way. One that's really surprised me, very unusual for a mango as big as it is the Harvest Moon. That's a big mango. It can get big. And it still is an excellent flavored mango that has a good texture all the way to the seed. Very good quality. Buttercream is also Southeast Asian, large, very good mango. Coconut cream, its name is pretty descriptive of what it's like. It's an Edward seedling that I'm pretty sure got crossed by a Gary mango. It's got a lot of flavor to it.
Wow. All right, Gary, thanks so much for your time and going over all those different flavor mangoes and characteristics.
All right.